In this video, we are joined by Theme Park Wizard. We are talking all about Universal, Epic Universe, and how some of this might even relate to Disneyland Resort. I know it sounds weird, but we're gonna analyze it, break it all down up next. Welcome aboard to another episode of OG55. In this video, we're talking Epic Universe, Super Nintendo World, how it kind of might be connected to Disneyland Resort. It's going to be a great conversation. We are joined today by Mr. Wizard, Ethan, Theme Park Wizard. Welcome back, sir.
Hello, welcome. Nice to be back on with my brand new shirt that just came in the mail today. Yeah, how gorgeous that is.
Nice. Buy his merch. Go to his merch store.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it.
Buy the merch. Support the channels, man. Casual's doing
Support
some
'em
great
all.
work. From what I understand, you're doing some great work on Universal too. So we are happy to have you here, sir.
So
So
much.
if you could let everybody at home know, where they can find you on social media, your merch store, all that good stuff, Ethan.
You can find me on Theme Park Wizard on YouTube, Theme_Wizard on Twitter, LinkedIn. Oh, actually, no, that's just my name. Forget LinkedIn. Instagram, Theme_Park_Wizard, Facebook, Theme Park Wizard, and themeparkwizard.shop to buy the brand new Halloween merch. Come on, man. You gotta go to Horror Nights and Oogie Boogie Bash looking a little scarier than the rest of the children out there.
Nice.
All right, Mr. Wizard, he is back. It's good to have you back, Ethan. Thank you for joining us. And to my left, but to the audience's right, is Dr. Dre Vashkai, host of the Freshly Squeezed show here on OG55. Welcome back, Dre.
Hey, happy to be back. Glad to be back. This is a wonderful conversation. It's something I wanted to dive into for a little while here. What is going on with Epic Universe? Have they finally, settled on the lands that they're going to build here? It looks like they might have, but who knows with Universal? They're all over the shop, Outside of concept art, they don't release anything. So I am really glad to be here to discuss everything about it. Anyway, if you want to find me, you can go ahead and do so right down there at VashSky. Just go ahead and type that in for, as Christine Waysons McCarthy would say, for all the robust discussion. You can go ahead and do that right there. And if you want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now, at Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info squeezed fresh right from the Grove. And because we're talking about Universal, I think this is appropriate.
Hold on to your butts.
There you go. And to properly introduce our buddy Theme Park Casual. I'm sorry, Theme Park Wizard.
No!
Wizard. Sorry. I very much look. Listen, if I do that, don't blame me. Listen. You know what? How about this? I'm gonna call you Wizard. I'm gonna call him Casual. That way, I don't accidentally step into it again, okay? Wizard, to properly introduce you, I should say, roll it back here. We gotta do your intro, of course. The Wizard is in town.
The Wizard is in
I cannot wait.
Yes. All right. Well, let's dive into the topic at hand. And our first topic is Epic Universe. Epic Universe. We are going to talk all about this. It's a park, but it's almost kind of like a secondary resort, really, right? For Universal Orlando, which is interesting. The interesting thing. But Dre, I'm going to start with you first. Kind of set the table for us in regards to, this park, this resort. What it, kind of set the table, and we'll kind of use that as a jumping off point, basically.
Well, it's interesting. Doing some research on this, I found out that I guess this is being built, this theme park that they apparently had in the can for like 20 years. They were going to build it 20 years ago. They didn't. And they were going to build it on land that they previously owned, but now re-own and are now actually building on it. It's very strange how this whole thing works. They had to buy it back from Wet n Wild and all this other crazy stuff. Anyway, they're finally building it, however. And you can go ahead and share my screen right here.
Absolutely.
This is the big shebang here. This is Epic Universe. And pretty much what we're getting. I mean, from what I understand, everything that is projected to be built inside this theme park is pretty much lining up with this theme park concept almost exactly. Now, there have been some changes, and we'll go over those. But it's almost it's lining up pretty nicely, and it is surprising to see that they are sticking to this as strictly as they are, knowing that Universal can change so much in a development's lifespan. So, okay, this is kind of interesting. I kind of want to go ahead and give you an overall layout, however, because I think this will be relevant to our topic coming up here. Just how kind of far this is from the existing Universal properties. I can see kind of north of the map right here. You know, Universal Studios Florida and Florida, Orlando, and Islands of Adventure were like right next to each other in terms of the theme park situation. In not too a dissimilar fashion that we enjoy over here at Disneyland Resort. You could pretty much walk from one park to the other if you really wanted to. And all their hotels were pretty much surrounding those existing properties. Well, Endless Summer was the first resort that kind of branched out a little bit. And that was a stepping stone to what we'd experience at the south of the property, as you can tell, with Epic Universe proper. And you could see Kirkland Drive right there. It's just along that corridor, and that's kind of the most direct route in order to get here. And, you know, I mean, if you're kind of look at the map of the Disneyland Resort, it's kind of in a similar way. And like I said, we will get into that conversation because I think it is applicable. But first, I mean, we got to go over what this theme park experience might be about. I think it's really, really interesting. Before we get into the park, however, they're going to build a parking lot, a surface lot, with the expectation that, you know, if demand is really as crazy as it might be, they build a structure on top of this, similar to what they did back in the 90s with some of the surface lots out there, build it out there with a structure down the road. Also, too, I also learned something very interesting because a lot of people were kind of concerned, how do you get from this resort from the previous resorts, right? And from what we understand, they're actually going to have, they just got approval from, I believe it's Orange County
Orange
where
County.
This sits in?
Yeah.
I believe they just got approval for the middle lanes along Kirkland Avenue, or Kirkland Drive, Kirkland Street, whatever. Kirkland Road, sorry. They just got approval here to have the middle lanes be essentially reserved for buses only. So the middle lanes of traffic will just be distributing guests between these two resort properties. And I think between the nearby parking lot and this kind of bus service here, I think getting to this property will be actually pretty easily. It'll be pretty feasible for all, for everybody involved. By the way, I want to shout out real quickly, a lot of the bulk of this information is coming from, of course, Alicia Stella from Theme Park Stop. She's basically, she's running point on this whole thing, essentially, right? She is the #1 gal that's been following this project more closely than probably anybody at this point. So a lot of that information is going to come from there. We also do have some information, some visuals from other people like Mickey Views, Bio Reconstructs, amazing aerial photography, and so forth. So I just want to go ahead and give them the proper credit. Anyway, I think we can actually get in here now. So what we see here, there's a lot on the map here, but to break it down really easily, I think we should start with the hub section first because I think that's the most interesting part. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
From just an operational standpoint.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, so if we see here
Now, I wanted to add something for that overall map you had before. The property is around like 1,000 acres, right, that they own. But the big, that, what's that other one? The blue and the Kirkman Road show the whole resort thing. That one. So that's an Epic Universe. It's just a small part of it. So there's room for a whole nother park and multiple hotels here. And that the Kirkman Road thing, what you're talking about, Orange Grove knows, but in the valley we have the Orange Line busway. Yep. That's basically what Kirkman Road's gonna be. So the bus lanes will be totally separated from the lanes, with like a median in between. So it'll be like a transit system where it's only buses. They'll skip the lights. It'll be just like the Orange Line busway, which if I can share my screen, I'd pull it up. But if someone wants to pull up the Orange Line busway here in Los Angeles,
I'm actually doing that right now as we speak.
Yeah, this will
to give
be
people kind of an idea.
And with the Orange Line busway, it could take you really from Woodland Hills to like Sherman Oaks in like 20 minutes, which is like unheard of on the 101 freeway. So it really helps. But yeah, the Epic Universe property is 1,000. And Epic Universe only used I think 200 or something. I think there's 750 acres left of open space, basically.
Really?
Yeah, which means there could be multiple parks and multiple hotels, which is really good because this is just like you said, it's a whole nother resort basically, and this is just a tiny part of an ever expanding whole new resort that could, with this, they can have Disney World level, 4 parks, 1 water park. Well, they have 2 water parks, but they could really match Disney World in terms of number of parks and water parks with this property over the next decades.
And so this is what Wizard is talking about with the Orange Line in the San Fernando Valley, is that the buses are they have their own lane. This Orange Line has its own lane, and you can see there's a fence. So it's cordoned off, and these buses run back and forth on this Orange Line without any other traffic. There's no other cars. I think emergency vehicles can use it and stuff like that, like police and what have you. But for the most part, this road is dedicated just to these buses. And it's actually interesting. Years ago, this actually used to be railroad tracks. And they just paved over it and created this Orange Line. It's actually a really efficient system. So that's basically what Ethan is saying is going into this this Epic Universe area, which is very, very fascinating.
See, that's a good design choice right there. In order to bus people to and fro, from what I understand, just to get to Endless Summer, some of the bus system is so let's say robust, right? That just getting to Endless Summer can sometimes be quicker than to get to resorts by foot on property. So it's an extremely efficient mode of transportation. And from what I understand, the bus system will work efficiently enough to be where to get to Epic Universe, come from Universal Studios Florida or Islands of Adventure, it'll be more convenient and closer than some Disney parks, and to get to their various destinations on property. So they really have ambitious plans to make it as an efficient system as possible. And hey, job well done by Universal. They're doing the right things and making this as effortless for guests as possible, and getting overcoming some of the logistical issues with having a separate a resort like this. So good for them. Like I said, very applicable to conversation that we'll have later on in this video. But I wanted to go ahead and focus on this kind of hub kind of system here, because I think it's really fascinating. Now, we say hub, but it's really like 3 circles kind of stacked on top of each other, right? And everything kind of radiates out from there. But the benefit to that design is that interior corridor right there provides for the ability to actually segment off the lands. I believe we talked about this maybe on a prior show, but operationally that makes it like really, really convenient, especially to have corporate events in some of these, outer edge lands. But the other kind of byproduct from that is that you can segment off of those lands entirely, but still have this central corridor or the central spine here open. Apparently, it's going to have anywhere between 9 to 11 restaurants. That's 2, including the ones at the hotel at the north of the property. But it's a really kind of interesting design in that because you can segment off those theme park lands, you basically have like a built-in city walk inside the actual park itself that you could operate outside of the actual park operation on the outer edges. That allows you to have, instead of building a separate city lot outside the theme park, you can have one within there. Block off the outer themed lands that you would normally pay for during a day's visit at the park, and you could stay after hours and maybe participate in these things, whether you have admission or not. It's quite an ingenious and beautiful design if it ends up working out like that, like they said. But go ahead, Wizard.
Yeah, there was a rumor, at least back before we even got concept art. Not sure if they're sticking with it, but yeah, almost like you said, there was a rumor that instead of paying, you see the typical Universal archway at the front there, instead of paying an admission fee to get to all of it, pay to get into each land type of thing. There was a rumor of that, of how they'd operate. Instead of paying for a full park, if you want to go Superintendent World, you'd pay to get in Superintendent World, then go home, or pay to get into Classic Monsters because of this specific design, the in-out one land a piece design, meaning this city walk area would be free per se, and then you'd pay per land. I'm not sure if they're going with that, but that was an idea they were thinking of.
You could do that because there's only one way in or out of these lands as they radiate out from the central hub area. Go ahead, OG.
That's an interesting kind of concept. But that kind of gets a little, we talked about it yesterday in our video, a little microtransaction-y. That approach, I think, is a little like we talked about when you go to Disney and you're constantly having every step you're paying. That would be a little bit like that, I think. I hope they don't go with that.
It would, and I don't think they're going that route specifically. We're just outlining that they could if they wanted to. As far as the theme park operation goes, we'll see how feasible any of this stuff is. There are stuff that maybe upper management wants to do, maybe the designers want to do, and then there's reality and operation and all that kind of stuff. I doubt that they'll piecemeal out each land like that, but they could. And I do believe there is, I mean, we see that on Main Street at Disneyland, right? Where, hey, you can stay in Main Street an additional hour after the park closes. Well, what if you could stay an additional 4 hours, and instead of just being locked down to Main Street, you had Main Street and Downtown Disney kind of all built in one in the central hub of the park, and you just close off all of those themed lands. That's essentially what they're building here. And it's actually a pretty decent concept because I guess they're going to have a fountain show or a fountain
on the very top circle for anyone that's
on the very top circle right there, and you can see that kind of stadium seating around there, right? As it kind of bowls in like that. But I guess they calling it the Helios Hotel, the kind of Sun Hotel at the edge there.
Yes,
it's something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
That provides for a projection surface by which you can actually project imagery on. And then they're going to have a fireworks launch point in the lake behind the hotel that should shoot up. So in effect, you have what essentially they've just done, or Disney has just done, at Hong Kong Disneyland in the form of Momentous, where you have kind of a fountain courtyard in front, a kind of scenic, this kind of projection landscape with your central icon, and then fireworks on top. So it's quite an ingenious design. In this way, they've gone with a hotel, which, I mean, that alone offers a really kind of convenient kind of theme park experience, not too dissimilar to Disneyland Paris or the Grand Californian or any of these other kind of hotel within a theme park concepts. Honestly, I'm really thinking Universal did a great job with this. But what do you guys think?
I like it. Oh yeah, I like it. It's very interesting. I just like water. So there's so much water. I really like that too. But yeah, there's, like Dre said, 9 to 11 restaurants and a couple of rides in that big glass structure. It was in the middle circle. Is rumored to be something like carousel or flat ride, and then we have the largest coaster in the resort, or the new park, that racing mock coaster right over there that will be both of them space themed. because you're in an epic universe. Haha. But
Yeah, it's very constellation-y from what I understand.
and but yeah, it's such a very cool idea to have. It could really work. And then that way also, if you leave the other lands closed early and you can see the show, like they can run the shows like really late. There's a big gathering point so everyone can probably have a good vantage point of at least the fireworks show. I feel like it's really, really massive, and I like how grand everything is.
Interesting. Now, I wanted to ask you guys, when this thing opens, right? Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of talk about how it's going to affect like the industry, the theme park industry in the Orlando area. What's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of talk about like this cannibalization, where when Universal moves in with Epic Universe, that some of like these parks might get cannibalized. Like let's say, for example, Disney, right? People might take a day off of their Disney trip to go to Epic Universe, which is possible. But I think it's also possible too, and I'm curious to hear what you fellas think about this, where is it possible that it cannibalizes Universal's own parks, where people, when they make their Universal vacation, okay, we can skip the studio park, we'll just do Epic and Islands of Adventure, and the studio park kind of suffers a little bit, and that's the park that actually ends up being cannibalized. Do you think that's there's a chance to that, or maybe Disney isn't as affected in terms of cannibalization, and Universal kind of sees more of that effect? Or where you guys stand with that?
Well, I think Universal, I mean, that's obviously, that could happen, right? That this cannibalization affects Universal more than it does Disney. I like to think of it as the center of gravity maybe shifting, and so that kind of affects everybody. But Universal's kind of in this kind of sweet spot where they haven't built necessarily 3 parks and they're adding a 4th. They've only built 2 parks and they're adding a 3rd. So it's much easier to justify, I think, as a consumer, let's just add on another day to Universal that we were already going to spend maybe 1 or 2 days there. Maybe we add another day for Universal, rather than what Disney experienced in the 1990s when they added Animal Kingdom, where people just took off a day because they were already at their limits. I think that's where Universal's at right now. Obviously, I think you're going to experience maybe some cannibalization within the resort kind of area, but if anything, I mean, if you're looking at 4 days at Disney and 2 days at Universal, that might become a Universal day. So, from the Disney pool. So,
do you think that Volcano Bay though comes into that equation to that water park a little bit? Because that's not technically a gate, but it is
sure.
Part of the equation.
It is. I'm not sure. I really don't know how many people actually visit. I don't have the statistic of how many people actually visit water parks that go to these theme park, operations. I know that when I went to Walt Disney World, we didn't even consider going to any of the water parks out there in Florida. That doesn't necessarily say that nobody does visit. Plenty of people do, but I really don't know if the water park operation impacts the resort kind of operation when it comes to consumers managing time between the various resorts. From what I kind of have experienced myself, consumers or guests tend to reserve like a day just for extra activities, and usually the water parks might be included in that. So I'm not really sure.
Interesting.
Mr. Wizard, what do you think about cannibalization? This whole kind of idea of
Let's see. I think it could happen, but I think it has a chance happening again. Simply, again, the blessing of size, and we were talking about the bus system, right? So, if you can get to Epic Universe to Universal Studios Florida in 10 minutes, let's say, right? Or 15 minutes. It's much closer than, like you said, with Animal Kingdom, people took off day, but also Animal Kingdom doesn't take those buses come every hour or something, and the monorail, I don't know where if it even touches it. It's just much more processed that park hop. Even with Epic Universe, like with pass holders and maybe people who have an extra day, I feel like they'll be hopping from Epic Universe to Universal Studios Florida. I feel like they'll do that all in maybe one day. Like, they'll spend a day at each park if they have an extra day, or like a pass holder. How you pop from Disneyland to California Adventure. I feel like someone will go to Super Nintendo World, hang out there for half the day, then come back, take the bus for 10 minutes, and go to Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios for it, because it's so close. Something it's very hard to do, I feel like, at Disney World, because it requires such transportation. And I feel like because of that, it's much close. I feel like cannibalization will be much less, or not existent, but like much less, simply because it's just really close to get to the resort, both resorts.
And Dre, you brought up an interesting point too when you said, you know, they're in, like, Universal's in that sweet spot with the parks. You know, they don't have too many right now. Where Disney World has a lot, right? And yeah. I've kind of made that point in relation to Disney World and Disneyland, where people would think I'm crazy when I say there's more growth potential at Disneyland. And people, what do you mean there's more growth potential? It's so much smaller. I don't mean physically. You know, I'm talking in terms of financial growth, right? To get to expand your hotel occupancy and
yes.
or maybe even grow hotel, you know, add hotel rooms to the resort. There's much more growth potential at Disneyland Resort because it's much easier for a family to tack on another day to a 2-day, you know, vacation in Anaheim than it would be to tack on another day in Florida. People only have so many days to go on vacation,
yes.
right? So Walt Disney World is already like a 5-6 day endeavor. You know, it could be even a week. How many days can people feasibly go on vacation, right?
Yep.
Where in Anaheim, well, you only have 2 parks. I mean, you can tack on another day or even 2 and still be pretty comfortable. And I think that kind of applies here with Epic Universe and Universal. Same kind of idea.
The other thing too that sorry, go ahead, Wizard.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, if they also do things like offer deals, like right now, Universal Studios Hollywood has buy a day, get a second day free. So if Universal were to do something like that, with their parks, they would encourage people also to stay longer and visit another park for another day.
Yeah, I mean, you could do some deals, you could do some promotions in order to get people to tack on another day. That's and Universal has been aggressive in that front, so you could. The other thing too, we just had a conversation with WW Pro, right? And he brought up an interesting point in that you know Epic Universe. In this kind of conversation, I guess Universal Studios Florida gets a lot of visitation from annual pass holders and locals, not too dissimilar in the fashion that Disneyland Resort enjoys out here in Southern California. Whereas Walt Disney World is a place for the domestic and international tourists that come in, right? The concern with Epic Universe coming up is not just how many people go to Epic Universe, maybe from Disney or even from Universal itself, right? But who goes to Epic Universe. And I think this is going to be, with as much publicity as this is getting, as hyped as people are, this has a real chance of really kind of getting that kind of first bite from not just domestic but international tourists who might want to see the newest park that America has to offer. I think that will be a very interesting part of this equation.
And international tourists are what I call the Gucci customer.
They sure are. They sure are.
Well, they're definitely not unfavorable. That's for sure.
We don't want those Walmart. We don't want those Walmart unfavoribles. Clogging up the place.
No Walmart unfavoribles. We want Target only. Man,
Target and Gucci and up.
Gucci yeah.
From what I understand too, Wizard, is that the case too? I guess Salim is getting additional heat for some of his most recent comments as well. Like, this is kind of a continuing thing now, a new what is it? A new controversy, right? Another spout of controversy, another Reddit post or something like that, right?
He had another open letter against that guy. He really wants those Gucci customers. So I don't just know. International people just don't like to go to Six Flags, though. It's just not the thing.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people have regional amusement parks Do they necessarily have to go to Six Flags in order to experience those? Maybe not. But that's not stopping Universal. Universal, I think they know they have a powerful brand, a powerful product, and they are investing into it in the form of Epic. This right here shows you that track pieces are already coming coming on site for the I believe it's like the space themed coaster just off the hub area. So you have you have this kind of space themed racing coaster that is pretty much one of the only attractions that you can access directly from the hub, but apparently it's one of the biggest ones. It's supposed to be one heck of a coaster, and we are already seeing track pieces. We're already seeing foundations laid in
those
place.
footers.
Yeah, in order to make this this whole thing a reality. I mean, they're one of the things I probably will be saying throughout this whole conversation is just like how quickly they are moving, how quickly this is all kind of rising out of the ground, because we've been basically looking at a dirt lot for I don't know, like 3 years or something like that. And now we're getting it, and apparently it's coming up fast here.
And it's going to open before Tron, which is great. There seems to be some evidence for that. No, I'm joking. Tron should open. It should. Look, listen. This the Helios Coaster. I don't know. I'm gonna call it that, but it's gonna be a racing coaster.
Yeah.
From Mach. For all the coaster people out there, it's Mach. And it's gonna be 5,100 feet long. Now, keep in mind, the Incredicoaster, I believe, is 4,000 feet long, and that's pretty long. So this will be 5,100 feet long, both tracks, which is insane. That's a massive, and it's up to 70 miles per hour. This thing is gonna be a headliner attraction for everyone
over 5,000 feet. Over 5,000 feet of track between and it's cloned essentially, right? I mean, that's an extremely long coaster, and especially at 70 miles an hour. OG, what do you have to say?
Well, I wanted to touch upon kind of what you were talking about earlier in terms of, because I have a tweet and I kind of want to break it down because I think this person made an interesting point.
Sure.
You were talking about, like, I think it was with our conversation with WDW Pro about it's not like how many people, but like who kind of goes to this park. And this tweet kind of touches upon that a little bit on his own personal level. Now, I kind of I'll read you the guys the tweet and we'll kind of talk about it because I think it does kind of play to some of Universal's strengths, but also some of their weaknesses a little bit. Sure. So let's break it down. Okay. And mind you, this is the first line is his own opinion. That's a subjective thing, but he says, I think all things Universal overhyped. That's his opinion. But the interesting part here, though, it says it's geared towards an age group that is very online. So it gets great social media props. But compared to Walt Disney World, it's not great for families, multi-generational trips, or young kids. Now, this is interesting because he says it's geared towards an age group that is very online. Well, he's kind of right on that. It's a very youthful, 18 to 35 kind of group. Universal's really geared towards the young adults kind of, right? A lot of thrills, So he's saying because of that demo, it's very, very popular on social media. So when we get in our little bubble here with like Diz Twitter and all that, we're seeing, according to Lawyer of Dragons, we're seeing kind of an exaggerated demand because of the space that we're talking about. It's online, and that's the age group that's in the Universal. Is that a thing here? Because I think that's a good point. I think it's a valid point to make. Where, because look, he also says families, multi-generational trips. You're not going to see a lot of people in their 70s going to this Epic Universe. There's not a whole lot. But you can see that at Disneyland because there's a lot of kind of chill stuff for that older demo. This park is gonna be that 18 to 35 kind of.
Yes. Now, speaking of Disneyland, yes, there's a lot for chill stuff for the 7-year-olds, but also a lot of maybe not, but I feel like a decent amount of the 7-year-olds maybe were there in 1955 or have a nostalgic feeling. So that also adds to that specific, like Universal's relatively new compared to that. So I feel like for the Disneyland Pacific thing, and maybe even Disney World, the nostalgia from for the older senior population is what draws them to that park as well as the chill stuff. But I feel like a lot of them may not even go and even ride a ride, but they're like, oh my gosh, I saw the Main Street Electrical Parade on the first day back, I gotta go see it again, and I'm gonna leave now. No,
yeah. I do agree with that, actually, because I think Universal, you bring up nostalgia. I think they're creating their nostalgia with this, with these parks that they have not only just built but are building. The demographic described in this tweet, outside of the online factor, it's basically Disney in the 80s. When you really think about it, I mean, this is who Michael Eisner was trying to get into the parks, that 18 to 35 demographic. That's why he brought his son to WDI as soon as he walks into the building, because it's like, we need thrill rides to get people in the doors here, and that's where they go off of Star Tours, Splash Mountain, and so forth.
But wouldn't it? But I think that's kind of. I see what you're saying, and that's definitely the case. But I think he was trying to attract more of those people because it was mostly families, so they're trying to attract another demo that they were weaker in, where that's not really the case for Universal, though. They're not, what I'm saying? They've always been that demo. That's
true, but we have seen the effects of Disney has enjoyed the effects of bringing in that demo in the 80s that has lasted throughout time. The last 30 years or so has built on the original demo that Michael Eisner brought in. Those people who went in the 80s who brought their kids to the parks in the 90s, aughts, and those are the ones who create memories and experiences for their family, and it just kind of builds on each other. And I think that's where Universal's at right now. Now, I do agree with you. I do think they do need to add maybe a little bit more friendly attractions, and they will actually have a good assortment with this park here. Like I said, what is it? We brought up the racing coaster. The racing coaster, it's one of the 5 e-tickets, but there's going to be a number of different experiences that I think families can enjoy. And I think it's tough because Universal's a little limited in their IP, let's say. They're family-friendly IP, right? They got the Minions, which is good, but you're going to need a little bit more. I think between How to Train Your Dragon and Super Nintendo World, I think they'll have a good assortment off the bat. But like you said, I mean, I think it's a good point. I think it's a valid point. They are going after those 18 to 35-year-olds because I think they want to build in nostalgia with a consumer demographic that yes, they have attachment to Disney, but they can be converted. And I think that's where they're at.
And also, that's How to Train Your Dragon is the largest physical land, also has the most amount of rides, which is mostly family-friendly attractions, a family-friendly coaster. But in terms of you mentioned weaknesses, I just hope those family rides aren't like the Secret Life of Pets and have roller coaster type restraints that require a height limit to get on, when it really should require no height limit like the Haunted Mansion, because it's the same type of ride system. Also, Yoshi has a height limit, and that shouldn't have a height limit because it's also an Omni mover. So hopefully Universal corrects that problem immediately.
That's interesting, Ethan, because this is stuff I'm not as well versed in Universal at all. A complete full disclosure, and my audience knows it, and I'm not. I did not know that Yoshi had a height requirement. That's interesting. That ride barely even moves.
Yeah, and if you Secret Life of Pets here at Hollywood, they have the carts fit 2 people, but they should really be able to fit 3 people. Because they're actually pretty big boxes, but you get in and the seats are really defined, and they're actual roller coaster seats. And a lot of people describe them as RMC, which is a roller coaster company. They convert wooden coasters to steel hybrid coasters like Twisted Colossus. They describe them as RMC type restraints because that's how restrictive they are.
Yeah,
and
that's how restrictive
they buckle me in. I'm like, whoa, hold on, man. What are we going on a loop here? Kind of very strange. And because of that, there is a higher requirement level, at least 36 or something inches for a Secret Life of Pets, when it really should be nothing. I mean, a baby should be able to go on that ride because it's just the Haunted Mansion. there in Little Mermaid, theoretically, just with Secret Life of Pets. So
Wow.
I hope they I hope there's some kind of refurbishment to take those out. But I mean, Universal, I must say, they do listen to people eventually. I mean, they took the 3D away from Harry Potter.
Yes.
People got sick. They are in for pets. Most of it's animatronics versus screen, so they do listen to people. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Universal listens to people with the restraints. Makes future rides without them when they don't need them at all.
Yeah, I guess there's just like this big push in I don't know if it's management or the lawyers or something like that, but within Universal, it's like we can't have people be able to get out of any of these attractions at all, right? Whereas I think Disney's attractions benefit from a lot of like let's say like grandfathered in kind of clauses and operational practices, right? I mean, you go to Walt Disney World's Tomorrowland, right? In the Magic Kingdom, and you go on People Mover, and I mean, back in the day, I know in our People Mover over here at Disneyland, it only lasted I think it was like 1 month before somebody jumped out and there was a horrific injury or whatever, and that's where the cages came in. Do you remember those, OG, where they had, but Walt Disney World, I mean, their version of the Way People Mover, they don't have anything. They don't have seatbelts. They don't have nothing. And they travel a lot faster than Yoshi, that's for sure. So the idea that you're going to have a height requirement for Yoshi and you're going to have these kind of cumbersome restraints, it just makes no sense. It's a very weird thing, but that's the kind of mentality that they have over there at Universal. And I do think that holds them back.
Yeah. Now, on a positive note, I do want to say this franchise, which I believe is DreamWorks, so they acquired this a few years ago. So this is technically a Universal IP.
Yes.
This is a fantastic franchise. This trilogy is absolutely phenomenal. Probably, to be quite honest with you, probably my favorite stuff that came out of DreamWorks.
I agree.
Really phenomenal. And I think that has a lot of potential as a land. We'll see what they do with it. But it's very, very whimsical, magical, kind of Disney-esque, actually, in a lot of ways, that franchise. I really dig it. I'm curious about that land. Very much so.
Funny. My best friend actually likes How to Train Your Dragon. And he's not the biggest theme park person, but when I said, hey, guess what? There's a How to Train Your Dragon land coming to Epic Universe in Florida. He's like, what? No way. I'm there. And I'm like, cool. So hopefully other people will be just like that. And that picture of the Great Hall, that was supposed to be a massive restaurant.
Yes.
That looks just like that, called the Great Hall, just like from the movies.
And I wanted to show you can see the columns here that are going up right now. Very consistent with, as Ethan brought up, the Great Hall. That looks like they're planning on building, and like this kind of stuff, man, it looks phenomenal. This kind of stuff is really, really cool. Just the Viking motif and this kind of great dining hall experience, very cool.
That's awesome. The theater is supposed to be the largest in the park, about like 900 seats or so, and they could bring that How to Train this thing from Beijing, which, as you see, includes a massive toothless version of Toothless just flying around there, which sounds pretty cool. I haven't seen the movies, but I'll watch them. But it looks pretty cool from what I see.
From what I understand, Universal Creative and their entertainment department really kind of put some budget and effort into this show because, I mean, right off the bat, they knew this was coming stateside. So this is like pretty much what you see here with the Beijing show. And you can probably go on to Disney Parks Addict YouTube channel to actually see it. It's quite impressive. But from what we understand, this is coming. This was built with the intention that this would be coming stateside. So it's a really kind of cool looking show. Like I said, like a Wizard brought out, there's kind of a real for real version of Toothless. He doesn't actually kind of float in the air. He floats over the audience. There's kind of a screen based imagery that lines up with it. Not so dissimilar to maybe like Born or something like that. It looks pretty cool. I mean, this will be the most kid-friendly of the lands. From what we understand, there's going to be like a kind of a flying, what is it? Kind of mock flat ride.
Yeah,
right?
flat ride. It's like airplane themed, but probably dragon themed, just kind of flying in slow circles. There'll be a family friendly coaster that dives underwater through a waterfall.
Yes.
And then
That's
there'll be
cool.
like a splash battle attraction, almost like what Legoland has with the you're on the pirate ship. It won't be pirates obviously, and you're shooting each other. Like a family splash battle ride going on there.
Wow.
It sounds pretty cool, and I think the implementation of elements. I guess every single attraction is supposed to train you, like how to train a dragon, right? Or how to train yourself to ride one, right? So it's like that's where the flat ride comes in, where you can kind of you can go upside down if you pull the stick, and you can kind of defend your dragon with the water kind of battle ride there. The coasters, I believe, that's you actually riding a dragon.
You're on the back of the dragon. Yeah,
it's a really nice theme, and going into that world of How to Train Your Dragon, that amazing kind of Viking village almost.
Yeah.
It should be really, really cool.
That's pretty cool. I want to ask you guys, maybe Ethan, you'll know, maybe Dre, you'll know. I've been hearing, and I don't follow Universal that much, but I've been hearing like kind of whispers that possibly Universal's been trying to work on getting the rights to Lord of the Rings for this park.
Yes.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
It is a thing. There was a thing before and it failed. And it's gonna thing now, and it's supposed to go in that. Oh, do you have the big concept art again?
Yeah, sure. Give me just one moment here. I can find it right now. Let's see.
Sticky. Okay, that big blank space between Whizzing Fantastic Beasts and the coaster.
On the right-hand side?
Where Lord of the Rings would be going. Yeah.
This park, and you can see there's kind of an equally big portion on the other side of the property. This is kind of built with expansion in mind, so that's kind of why they've left those areas, vacant. Because if they do get their hands on a new property or a new idea comes along or whatever, they can implement it right off the bat, maybe as part of a phase 2 or concurrently, and just have it open later. So. From what I understand, those talks between I believe it's the Tolkien family, right, and Universal, they are going along here. I'm still trying to get information on that, so I can provide it for our viewers, because I think like that could be a real game changer for this park.
You could build a whole park just on that. I mean, to be honest, exactly
right. So it's like, okay, Lord of the Rings is a huge franchise. It obviously has huge, demand, right? I think people would want to see kind of Middle Earth and that kind of whole thing. So I'm trying to get information on that. But I think if a deal is dotted, we will definitely hear about it. And Universal, they won't hold back. They'll definitely rub that in everybody's faces, including Disney, of course.
That's
especially because there's the new Lord of the Rings show coming to Amazon soon, or very soon.
Oh, that's right. That's right. If that show is a huge hit, which definitely has potential to be a hit, that would definitely bolster the case, for its presence at Epic Universe.
And who was it? Was it was it Amazon who got the rights to the remaining kind of Tolkien mythology? Recently, I thought something happened there that kind of opened things up a little bit, and would have provided one of these studios, whether it be Amazon or somebody else, the ability to make, to translate, I should say, to either the screen, whether it be the silver screen or the iPhone screen, right, in the form of DTC, right, to translate these things into multimedia. Did you hear anything on that?
I don't. All I know is that it's Amazon Prime is where you can check out the new Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm not really sure what the deal structure was per se. But that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I know how Disney can respond.
What's that?
They respond back in the day to Universal Studios in the form of Avatar, right? They brought in an outside IP and they respond a little bit with that. And honestly, it was translated well. In order to respond to Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. There you go. That's what
There
they
you go.
Yes. Chop everybody's heads off.
Chop everybody's heads off. Let the interfamiliar relationships begin. There you go.
There we go. Actually,
Yes.
you know, aside from all the sexy time that goes on in that show, that would actually be kind of a cool environment though to visit in a theme park space. I mean, with the dragons and everything, that would be pretty dope. But again, it's so brutal and so sexualized. There's no way. There's no way.
How do you translate that? Oh, I don't know. That gets into some really dicey territory there. Perhaps we will limit it to the screens and not actually walk into that environment. Sadly for some. Anyway, so this brings us to the other land, Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I mean, they got to have another version of that, right? It's been very successful, and there's plenty of environments that they're built that could be built out. But this one is particularly interesting because apparently this is a huge space. And you can kind of see, like, there's vehicles there beside this structure that they're building, and you can just see how absolutely large this thing is. I mean, it is just absolutely massive. And like I said, the steel is going in fast. Like, and this was to illustrate how I believe the theme park stop there. They kind of juxtapose some imagery together, and it looks like everything is being built out to the way that that people have been theorizing for a while here. Well,
not to interrupt, and I'm not familiar again with Harry Potter, but like I know they built the Hogwarts Castle, right?
Yes.
What is this going to be? Like, do we know?
This is going to be two things. One is going to be a theater right next door. That's going to have, I guess, like some kind of Harry Potter themed show. But the real kind of bulk of this and the ride experience and the land is going to be based off of the kind of British Ministry of Magic, from what we understand, right? From, I believe, primarily from the Fantastic Beasts series of films. And you can see why this space is so big is because they want to translate what you're seeing on screen there to reality. Gorgeous. Just huge atriums, just a huge, you have these kind of offices on the sides there, these huge golden statues. They want to translate this to real life, and it's quite ambitious. And the way you get there, interestingly enough,
is the flu.
You use the flume system. Yeah, exactly. So there are these, in Harry Potter lore, there are these series of transportative fireplaces, right, where you actually walk into these fireplaces and you are transported to a different place entirely. And that's, from what we understand, how we're going to be getting through on this.
That's really dope. I gotta say, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
I mean, it looks very, very awesome. Now, Wizard, do we, because I've heard two different versions of this attraction. Do we know what the actual core experience of this is going to be?
Yes. So, there's two different ones, both involving some sort of elevator. Because also, in the Flu Network, in the Ministry of Magic, the elevators are kind of interesting. They go up and they go to the sides and they go up and down and up. They go 360 degrees, these elevators. That's how you travel between the ministries. So that's what the ride is going to be. You're going to be on this elevator escaping Voldemort, or no, not that I think it's that lady in pink. Oh, I know the name, but I forgot the name. I hate her. She's so annoying. But you're going to be escaping her, that lady in pink. There's two type of, they patented some kind of elevator ride system they thought they were going to potentially use. Looked pretty. I have the patent saved, but I can't find it. But now, what we hear is it's going to be like the scoop vehicles, like from Transformers, but like upgraded, so you're going to rise them up. Like they're going to quickly go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Oh, I see.
And you'll be like suspended at one point, but then you'll be no, not suspended, but you'll be, though the platform will be there, but you'll just be rising up and down really fast potentially to mimic elevator movements on the scoop vehicle, and you won't be obviously be able to see the platform, so it'll feel like you're flying through the hallways and escaping the evil I'm just saying that Death Eaters, but
Yeah.
the Death Eaters, and the ride system be going up and down through the system, because the other thing apparently didn't work, but maybe they just couldn't figure it out in time for them to build the attraction, which still sounds pretty fun, because what I just learned a couple months ago is Transformers is actually 2 stories. Did not know that. It was insane.
You didn't know that?
Not know that. And figured it out. I saw us rising. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're rising? I don't even feel that. And they're like, we're falling to the 2nd floor? I'm like, I didn't even feel that. But this time you'll feel the elevator movements, as it'll be on purpose.
See.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're hearing, that's interesting, because this is kind of new to me. Yeah, and you're right. Transformers is really impressive in that it's a very small footprint that they had to work with, so they had to do 2 levels, and it was like, okay, let's do an elevator-type system, but one that we can incorporate as a story point where you don't quite feel it, but it still has that kind of, what is it? We could still use the kind of shaft to our our purposes for the purposes of telling this kind of crazy robotic story there. And yeah, you can't feel them, which is just an amazing thing.
Insane.
Like, at all.
It's mind blowing. Every time I get on Transformers, I know this place now, so I look. I still can't believe we're just going up, and the screen's just moving, and you're just looking at Megatron, and he's just moving up. Like, wow, that's crazy. How do you not feel that? Insane.
It is wild. So we're going to be able to feel these elevator movements, and so you're saying that this is going to be what I think it's version 4 of the kind of scoop EMV type vehicles coming off of Spider-Man, Transformers, Jurassic Park over there in Universal Beijing, and now this is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, it'll be like version 4, and think of it as a almost like the part of Rise of the Resistance where you drop, but happening all the time or multiple times throughout the attraction, and going up and down as you go through these different elevator levels of the Ministry, trying to escape the Death Eater crew.
That sounds pretty insane. If you could share my screen one more time, I wanted to go ahead and show that so every single one of these lands has kind of an entrance portal that you enter and exit from, right? That's how the segmentation process is going to work operationally. But just beyond there, you can see the footings for what will be this kind of Parisian archway that you'll actually enter the land through. And you could see an illustration of that here. It's all this stuff sounds pretty ambitious, and it sounds unbelievably beautiful. Again, all of these lands will have their own kind of shops and restaurant facilities and so forth. So it should be interesting to see what those end up actually taking the form of as we get deeper into this project right here. I'll go over quickly Super Nintendo World, because we're pretty much going to be getting a version of it in Hollywood. We've heard a lot about it, obviously, from Japan. It's already open there. I guess that the interesting thing about what Florida is getting in Epic Universe is that they're getting the whole shebang right from jump. All three. So they're getting not only Super Mario Kart, which is basically what everybody has gotten and everybody will get and receive, but they're also getting Yoshi, and they're getting the Donkey Kong expansion that they're currently building out in Japan from day one, which to me sounds the most interesting.
Me
because
too.
Sure it is.
The aesthetic is really cool, and the ride technology itself is really cool. Again, you're going to have this kind of false track that you actually see, right? That's going to cover the actual track that you're on, and it's going to basically take the form of like you're jumping the tracks as you go about your adventure. Not too dissimilar to the video game, but also I kind of think in my mind Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom from that amazing scene with Willie and Short Round, and they're hopping the minecart there. You're basically going to get a version of that with Donkey Kong, and it sounds insane. And from what we understand, the track and supports are already going up.
This is definitely. Oh, I'm sorry, Ethan. Go ahead, sir.
Oh yeah, no. And also, there's going to be a significant indoor portion too. Like you're going through this temple and cave, and there'll be track switches, but a fake track, and all of a sudden you'll switch over to the other track. And and then at the end, apparently there's gonna be a massive, or maybe not massive, but a Donkey Kong animatronic.
Oh, that's cool.
Right next to you as you come back to the station.
That sounds so cool, man.
You know what's cool about that? You know what I like about that? It's kind of in a weird way an homage to the King Kong animatronic they used to have over here in Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like in a weird way like an homage to that. I like that a lot. I would agree with you fellas though. The Donkey Kong coaster is by far the most exciting of that whole land. Yoshi seems fun in terms of it being kind of like a people mover, kind of chill on a hot day, just kind of go through. Mario Kart, look, I haven't ridden it yet, but from the videos, didn't impress me. It's too slow for a racing ride, but it might be different when you're actually on it. I don't know, but hands down, Donkey Kong, that looks dope as hell. I hope isn't the over here in Hollywood, Ethan? Isn't the Mummy ride kind of butts up against Nintendo?
Yeah, it's right across. Oh yeah, right across the way, across some buildings.
Could they bulldoze that and give us the Donkey Kong thing?
They could, but there's also a couple older sound stages. It's a nice linear that's right behind Super Nintendo World, and I feel like that can be a version of a Donkey Kong attraction if they put their minds to it.
That'd be awesome, dude. That would be awesome, and that would give Hollywood an actual. Well, we have Mummy. I know that's a coaster, but that would give them another really cool coaster in that park. That would really help out the roster.
It sounds incredibly. It sounds incredibly cool. This kind of thing. Man, is there any? Have you heard anything about this, Wizard? About us potentially getting Donkey Kong at all?
No.
Anything at all?
Like any rumors or murmurs?
I did, and then they stopped. But that doesn't mean don't give up hope. I feel like it can still. Again, there's that section right behind Super Nintendo World. The sound stages are old. There's nothing. Every time I'm on the studio tour, there's nothing going on there. One of them, the voice is already getting demolished. I feel it. It can be there. It's kind of a linear section. Donkey Kong is kind of a linear section. You know, I feel like it could be there or in the other section, but it can be there because it'd be super cool because the coaster goes around the perimeter of the land, so then it adds a lot of kinetic energy. You'll walk in there, you'll see just little minecarts hopping around. It'll be super cool.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
We can only hope.
Now,
go ahead.
Well, I was just say, before we jump to the Disneyland Resort connection, do we have more lands?
First, though. Monsters first.
Oh, we didn't get monsters. Yep, let's hit that up
the
first.
Monsters.
Gotta get monsters.
Let's do the monsters.
We'll have that Disneyland Resort discussion, but this is the one I was saving for last because it just sounds dope. It just sounds awesome.
If you could zoom into that a little bit, Dre, just a little bit. I'm kind of curious.
Oh, sure.
That's pretty cool art, man. There you go. Cool. Yeah. Can see a little better now. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, this is it's the one we know the least of, and some things have changed here. So they were originally, as you can see, to the the left of this concept artwork, they were going to have like this kind of auditorium for like I don't know, outdoor stage performance or something. Apparently, that's off the plans, and in its place is kind of looks like a mock spinner attraction, like a mock spinner roller coaster, which could be really cool. Apparently, what we've heard first was it was going to be like a what is it, like a kind of a kid friendly coaster, but apparently that got stepped up a little bit, and it might be maybe something. I think it's Time Traveler at $7 City.
Yeah, Time Traveler, like a mini Time Traveler kind of thing. Add some launches in there and maybe an inversion, or at least a launch in there.
But it spins.
But it spins.
Kind of
Yeah,
spins.
It's a spinning. It's an extreme spinning coaster is what they call that.
Which sounds insane.
Product model.
But you can kind of see here where that kind of yellow arrow is. You can see where these kind of roller coaster supports are going in. Where previously on the art it showed that they were going to build a kind of a theater complex. So it looks like these plans have changed, but what hasn't changed, or maybe has changed but changed for the better, is the main attraction. So the idea is that you actually walk in to this land, and it's supposed to be themed to what is it? Kind of a what is it? Kind of a medieval or kind of a European village, but kind of like from the Monsters universe, right? So it'd be a little bit
like
creepy.
Transylvania.
Yeah, Transylvania almost. Yeah, exactly, right? And so the main attraction here, you're supposed to be walking through, what is it, like Frankenstein's castle, is that right? And
Frankenstein's castle.
This structure is massive, by the way. It is huge. It is a very, very kind of big building that they're building. Now, we had heard that it was going to be like a take on the Kuka Arm technology, right? Where essentially you instead of going through Forbidden Journey like you do currently, you would take that that kind of ride system and go through kind of the halls and hallways of the castle and the caverns and so forth, and monsters would come at you. But it would be very it would be very physical. It wouldn't rely so much on those kind of projection domes that they have here. It would be a physical environment with practical effects and so forth that you'd be going through. But apparently, the new rumor is that it might actually be mounted on a coaster, and you have that same kind of Kuka Arm technology, but it's now your propulsion system is actually in the form of a coaster, which allows for all kinds of stuff to happen as one can imagine. So it's I don't know if this is actually the version we're getting. That's the rumor that we're hearing. It's probably most definitely going to be Kuka Arm related. But then even Theme Park Stop said that this section of the park, or this attraction specifically, maybe had its budget actually doubled, which is insane.
I would bet that Universal has big plans for that Monsters area, because like you said right earlier on in this conversation, the way they design this park is they can cordon off these lands. I could definitely see this Monsters area being like where the horror nights, stuff happens. They can cordon it off and have that ticketed event in Monsters Land, right? Or something like that. I could definitely see it kind of being like the hub for all this horror night stuff. I could be totally wrong, but it just seems to me like it would make sense. It's kind of perfect for something like that.
Yes. I guess there's going to be like an indoor dining space themed to like Frankenstein's windmill or something like that.
That's crazy.
It's supposed to be, like you said, like Transylvania, like a European village, but kind of spookified already. So that lends itself beautifully to a kind of haunted elements for October, which is a big part of Universal's business now.
Right.
Now.
Yeah, exactly. Wizard, what are you hearing at this attraction, though? I mean, is that consistent with what you're hearing?
So, Monsters, yeah. So, the Monsters, Dracula, whatever. Frankenstein thing. So, I guess the whole story for this land is that we are tourists, and they reopened Frankenstein's castle for us to visit. But Victoria Frankenstein, I guess, is the great-granddaughter of them. She wasn't too happy about it, so she came and she bought the castle again and reopened it for tourists, but she let all the monsters out. So she let all the guests come in, and she let all the monsters attack everybody. So apparently, in the queue, we'll see a rather large Victoria Frankenstein animatronic in the pre-show.
That's cool.
And then you get on the new version of the Kuka Arm system, which will include a round table loading system, and it'll have spikes. For mentioning as a bench, these will have evil spikes on the benches, and it will be on that upgraded Kuka Arm technology, which is also a version 2, and we'll be on the roller coaster track for smoother. It'll make it feel smoother because it's on roller coaster track, and because also, Mr. Orange Grove, since it won't have that covering on it, it should be less claustrophobic as well. So that's for you.
Yes.
Good. And it'll just be that because there'll be spikes, but you won't be covered like the benches are in Forbidden Journey now. So you have more open air space there.
That's awesome.
You can see it's. I think we may have lost him. We'll go.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. He's back. You're back.
Okay.
You're
We
back.
lost you for a second.
Yeah.
Go
But yeah,
ahead.
being
you were
on-
talking about you were talking about the vehicles having the spikes.
Yeah. So you're on the spikes. It should allow, and being on the roller coaster track should have more ease of movement
Yes.
and smoother movement. And as Dre was saying, everything, there'll be no screen at all. Because she let all the monsters out, so these will all be animatronic monsters trying to get you as you move through this castle, trying to escape them. And
That's
you come out, right? Then there'll be the windmill restaurant, but at nighttime, every evening, apparently they want to have an effect where the whole windmill's just on fire the whole night. It just bursts into flames every night. And then every night, the monsters, because, they're in the attraction right there, she let them loose or escaped. So when the sun goes down, every night they just terrorize the town in what is essentially a massive scare zone every single night, 365 days a year. But you can also have photo opportunities with the monsters, and it'll be like a show, but like a massive scare zone every single night in the Monsters Land, which will give people an opportunity to come back at night to check all that nighttime stuff out, because they'll have it every single day, and that just sounds mind-blowing. Also, far in the future, there's an expansion area where they want to put a e-ticket creature from the Black Lagoon boat ride near that
cool.
spinning coaster over there. So
That's
the Monsters
really cool.
Land is looking lit!
I mean, look, listen, this is the part that I'm most excited about. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of Universal fans, but theme park fans have wanted Universal to leverage this amazing IP in the form of the monsters,
Right.
specifically
And they're
from
known
the
for it.
1930s. And they're going for it.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
as,
save the studio. That's what put them on the map, the monsters.
As George wanted me to relay here, specifically regarding the monsters, hey, he has a lot of respect. He applauds them for actually bringing back these I mean, classic franchises and actually making a theme park environment surrounding them. It lends itself beautifully to this kind of storytelling. It's interesting because apparently the original plan was going to be the Dark Universe. That didn't obviously go very well at all.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they maintain that only for the purposes for bringing back the 1930s classic monsters that everybody loves. Everybody has wanted Universal to introduce to its parks more formally, and I think this is a great form. And the bulk of the theme lands sound phenomenal. It's going to be really down to their execution, but this land in particular, I mean, this if it's good enough, I think this will make me have to fly out there and see it at least just once, because it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, the monsters area sounds really, really cool. Really, really cool. And a lot of the areas sound great. I mean, a lot of them, but the monsters area in particular, I gotta agree with you. I mean, that's a pretty clever concept. And then taking that Harry Potter Kuka arm thing and turning that into a monsters attraction with all the animatronics and all that. It's a brilliant concept, and I think it can work very, very well.
Yeah, and that's really the thing that kind of holds back Forbidden Journey, is there's so many projections, right? It really leans into the technology of the ride vehicle itself, maybe too heavily. It could really be a stunning themed environment if you really kind of bring it to the forward, and it looks like they are doing that with the monsters attraction, and it sounds completely insane. And it sounds great, so I can't wait.
With less claustrophobic vehicles, you can't lose that.
Yes.
OG is happy. OG is happy.
And that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing with Forbidden Journey is I love the attraction. It's just it triggers my claustrophobia. It's just it's like everything. A lot of the Universal. And we talked about this earlier on in the conversation. Ethan mentioned even the slow rides, like the pet ride, the Secret Life of Pets. They're like these really claustrophobic kind of things, and I just it's frustrating sometimes as a claustrophobic person who really wants to enjoy this stuff, but it's just hard. It's just hard. So I'm glad this monster one will open up a little bit, and I can breathe and enjoy it. And to all my claustrophobic family out there, we're finally getting represented.
So there you go. You see, Universal listened, OG, and now they're appealing to your sensibilities. Job well done, sir. You do it again. He seems to do that, and every single time he says something or maybe complains about something, you end up with these companies actually responding. It's great stuff. It's fantastic.
Great stuff.
OG's a wizard.
A wizard. So since we kind of have this power to sort of
Yes.
manifest, let's talk about Disneyland Resort getting a third park.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
manifest this.
There we go.
And
Let's manifest it right here.
There
Third part.
we go.
There we go.
There we go. And it actually does tie into this Epic Universe conversation.
Absolutely.
Dre, if you could please pull up that first image you showed, the map with the kind of the overhead color-coded map.
Sure can. Let's
And
see
we'll kind
here.
of go from there.
Oh boy. There we go. Okay, and park and see, I'm organized, guys. Right there.
You
Boom.
got it. Perfect.
Got it.
Perfect.
So-
Okay, so
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Dre and I were having a conversation earlier on the phone, and this came up. We were talking about how this could potentially kind of be the blueprint. And we kind of talked about this a little bit on this video too earlier on, but we're really going to deep dive into this. If Epic Universe is a success, which I think most people think it will, thinks it will be, this could kind of encourage Disneyland Resort to sort of use a similar model. Look, there's no secret. The Disneyland Resort is kind of short on space. Okay, we're not going to find 85, 90 acres that are going to butt up against the current property, right? You're just not going to. Even at the best case scenario, they build a third park over where the Toy Story lot is. Okay, but maybe they'll get the land to the Angels Stadium. There's a lot of movement going on with the Angels right now, where they can even maybe acquire the land for the stadium. Now, if they were to acquire, whether it be the land for the stadium or if they wanted to utilize the Toy Story lot, they could possibly enact a system similar to what Universal Orlando is doing here with Epic Universe. And if it's successful over there, Disneyland might go, you know what, it worked for them, and we can kind of model our approach for Anaheim based on this. I think it's very much in the cards. What do you think, Ethan? What do you think the potential here for kind of using this as a blueprint for what we could possibly do at Disneyland Resort?
I think it's fantastic, and also it's close enough. It's just across the freeway. Oh, it's almost. It's funny because in this image, this was I-4. This freeway here by Universal goes at a diagonal, and it's funny because in Anaheim, the 5 kind of diagonally cuts through Disneyland like that, so it's hilarious. But yeah, and they just have to cross the freeway and then get to Angel Stadium. And they can use they don't have to build an expensive monorail or anything. They can just do the same thing. Try to get Anaheim to make a dedicated bus lane, or even just use current buses, and then be right there. I know people will be like, oh, well, buses aren't magical. Well, you know what? It's
Yeah, I mean, well, look, buses are, I mean, they're not the greatest form of transportation, right? But I mean, hey, look, listen, if you have this kind of beautiful theme park resort concept on the other side of that, I think people will be willing to get on the bus a little bit and drive for the 10 minutes that it would take to get down there to the Angel Stadium area. Go ahead, Wizard. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I think it would be perfect as long as they don't waste the space. They really utilize the space. Maybe put another hotel, but like an in-park hotel situation. That's what I'm talking about wasting the space. Like just combine all the uses, like they want to do with Disneyland Forward. Make it all a mixed-use potential property, because space is limited in Anaheim, so you really gotta use it efficiently, and not. You gotta capitalize on the opportunity.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right, Ethan. And when I think of this mixed use kind of creative ways to kind of build, like say a third park in Anaheim, one thing that they could possibly do, just throwing it out there, is that they can have a hotel, like a circular hotel, right? And that's like it surrounds the entire park,
and that's the berm. Yes.
That's the berm, and the park is built in the middle. So no matter what room you get in this hotel, you get a park view, basically. And you get the berm. It's more immersive. I mean, these are the kind of creative solutions they can kind of enact here with any kind of third park. And I think they should kind of go with stuff like that.
So basically,
and the hotel could have multiple entrances in as well.
Right. No,
Yeah.
No, 100%. And like you said, Ray, yeah, very much like Westcott. Very much like Westcott. I think that's the way to do it. I really, really do. And, you know, who knows? Who knows? Maybe they will one day, but I hope so.
And the reason why this relates to the Epic Universe conversation, not just in layout, but also in feasibility. This is really a test case for if this idea is viable, right?
Right.
From Disney's perspective. If it can work out in Orlando with these resort concepts being so desperate, you know, or so distance between them, right? Can it? I think it can work out in Anaheim with their setup and configuration. And I think Anaheim would be willing to go along with that. You know, when you talk about the investment and so forth that they'd be getting from it, it's a really attractive concept, and you couldn't. I mean, it's not just limited to Angel Stadium either. It could be the Toy Story lot. It's like, can we feasibly get people from our home resort right now, you know, where everything's kind of placed right now, and can we get them to an alternative location? I think Long Beach, a little bit too far, which is why they eventually dropped that concept. But this concept goes all the way back to when Disney was looking at purchasing Knott's Berry Farm. That was originally going to be the second gate, and what people kind of referred to it as before the introduction of Disney California Adventure, you know, ironically enough. So this concept has gone back a lot of ways. I think with the Knott's Berry Farm concept, actually, they had plans to build a monorail all the way out there, which was insane. But it's wild. I don't think they're going to go that far, guys. But I do believe if you have a kind of a transportation artery to get people from to and fro, I believe these concepts are absolutely viable. And Universal is the test case to see whether or not it literally is. And I think Disney's watching closely on that. I think you bring up a great point, OG, when you brought this up earlier to me on the phone.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of similarities, believe it or not, between Universal Orlando and the Disneyland Resort. A lot of similarities. And if you look at the map, you can kind of see that, you know. Like even Ethan mentioned, the freeway, cutting through it. It's very, very similar. And I think even our friend WW Pro said that that Universal Orlando is kind of more of a local spot too. And which again is very similar to our Anaheim Resort. Same kind of clientele and what have you. I'm telling you, this could be the blueprint for Disneyland Resort. Because it's funny too, the narrative, the fan narrative is always like, well, they're building Epic Universe in Orlando, so everything is kind of centered around Orlando, like how it's going to impact Orlando, how it's going to impact Disney World. And not too many people ever consider how it might affect the other coast. And I think it actually has a really good chance at affecting us quite a bit. I think, like you said, Dre, Disney is watching, and I'm very, very curious. Very curious. You're on mute, sir.
I'm very, very curious. And honestly, you know, it got me thinking here. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I do apologize, OG. But you have brought this up before. And, well, we would be doing you a disservice on your channel if we didn't bring it up now. You've talked about how there's some land in Valencia that, you know, might be an attractive spot to actually build a theme park operation, right?
Six Flags.
Six Flags, right? You know, maybe Universal buys some adjacent land or buys the land that sits on, and maybe they set up a theme park operation there. And is it viable to transport, you know, guests that far? Not only do I not think it's going to happen, but I don't think it's necessarily viable from that distance. But it does this kind of thing here, where you have a resort property split up in two ends. If you can overcome some of the issues that result from it, and from what I understand, Universal will be filling the gap in here shortly between these two resorts with you know, new hotels and so forth, that will kind of make it a little bit more cohesive. But if you can overcome these problems, it does present the possibility of expanding the resorts out to places where you can't necessarily expand directly adjacent to your existing properties. I mean, you know, I think these kind of things are viable, and you know, like we just mentioned, the closest analog to this is you know, Angel Stadium or the Toy Story lot in Disneyland, and we'll have to see if this kind of Epic Universe dream ends up coming true into the to fruition to the point that these kind of universal creative types hope for.
Well, and then you also have the idea, the notion of like what you said here with Universal is that okay, the resorts are separated, but they're working systematically to sort of buy land along the way and build hotels along the way to sort of bridge that gap. And Disney could very much do that as well. I mean, they could buy Garden Walk. I know a lot of people kind of poo-poo that, but that's very much in the cards. I mean, that place is like just not doing well. Disney can buy it, wait out the leases, and build whatever they want on that property, and that can be sort of like the stepping stone for maybe a third park in Toy Story Land. I mean, a Toy Story lot, because it's kind of like, you know, when we do space exploration, you have to colonize the moon. So that's like your halfway point or whatever to get to to Mars, right? Same idea here. You know, you buy that piece of land, Garden Walk, and that's sort of like your stepping off point, your kind of hub for getting to the new third park and what have you. So Disney can kind of do that same kind of approach here. Even if they have to go all the way out to Angel Stadium, they can kind of do that. Along the way, maybe have some Disney hotels sprinkled along the way. Ton of possibilities here. Just the sky is the limit. It really depends on Disney's level of ambition and the city of Anaheim being a punk.
Yeah, but, exactly. Well,
you know,
that right there has its own challenges attached to it. But the feasibility, I think, is there. And we were just having this discussion, interestingly enough, with Sean Ranking the Mouse after we had our video with him. We were talking about how the viability of building these kind of resort hotels in Anaheim, it's there. I mean, obviously, a proprietor like Radisson Blu or even Westin, they believe that there's some opportunity here. They don't, from what I understand, they don't build resorts anywhere unless they do years and years with the first feasibility studies to actually ensure that whatever they're building is going to be a viable product in the back end. So obviously, if these two big proprietors, hotel proprietors, believe that there is room for growth in Anaheim, then Disney has got to see that same data. We've been stuck with the same resort hotels for 20 plus years now. Can we get, you know, some more resort hotel infrastructure here? Maybe it takes the form of what you were saying, OG, or just new hotels in general. Go ahead, Wizard.
And if they build some new ones, then we can finally also do Orange Grove's wish, also my wish, if they just demolish the original Disneyland Hotel for more park space.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're right. Ethan, that's a great point, dude, because once you start to build more hotel infrastructure, then you have more flexibility when you have to tear one down to build a theme park, right? Because now you're losing rooms technically, but you're offsetting it, so the blow isn't as bad. That's a great point, Ethan. And that whole piece of land over there with Disneyland Hotel and the ugly ass soon to be Pixar Hotel. I mean, if they were to bulldoze, and look, I know we have the DVC thing coming up, so this is kind of like a pipe dream, to be honest. But if they were to bulldoze the Disneyland Hotel completely and that Paradise Pier Pixar Hotel, that's a big chunk of property. That's a big chunk of property, you know. But you know, the DVC tower is what's really standing in the way. That's kind of Disney putting the flag in, going, we're not going anywhere, you know. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it is more possible though when you do build more hotels in the general area. So
you know, just to give another channel a shout out for a little bit, I believe our friend Bricky over there at Adventures in Design recently had a video come out where he was following the progress of the repainting and refurbishment of the existing hotel towers, not just Disneyland Hotel, but also Pixar, the Pixar Hotel, I guess is what we're referring to it as, tracking the construction of the DVC tower. And I gotta be honest, the whole time I'm looking at it, I'm like, lipstick on a pig. I mean, there's just no real way to really, I think, beautify these for kind of the new era here without a heavy modification. And it just seems like Disney is just not willing to go there, at least right now. Hopefully they do at some point, but I don't know. I mean, and it's mind-boggling because there is, like you said, OG, there's absolute growth potential here, and yet they don't leverage it.
The Pixar Hotel, I think, is basically just kind of a placemaker. Look, Disneyland Hotel, I think, is here because of that DVC tower. I do not have that same kind of certainty with the Pixar Pier Hotel. I mean, I think this remodel will buy it maybe another decade, but it's
the
right across
viability.
No, it's not there.
It's not there.
Now, question.
Go ahead.
I'd say if Universal Hollywood ever built one of those 2 approved hotels they have, do you think that would make, in terms of responses for Disney, do you think they would ever make Disney say, all right, maybe you should build a nicer, more modern hotel somewhere?
Maybe.
I think that's the only way that they get up off their.
Because as George said it in your live stream yesterday, the only way Disney tries is when they feel some competition. So maybe that's
they
what
have
they
to feel
do.
external pressure, whether it be in the lack of demand or whether it be competition or just an external pressure, something to kind of push them towards doing some of this stuff. And unfortunately, that's just kind of how Disney works. Not necessarily.
That's how the progress is made, man.
Yeah,
well,
that's.
And you bring up a great point, Ray. I was actually just going to say that about the external pressure. It's not necessarily that Disney only reacts to the competition, because we got DCA 2.0 not off of competition. To be honest, Universal Hollywood is not that much competition for Disneyland Resort. It's kind of a half-day park. They don't have any hotels. Compared to Disneyland, 2 parks, 3 hotels, downtown Disney. It's just, they're not even in the same universe, you know? But
not even in the same epic universe.
Not even in the same epic universe. So Disney rarely, I think, Hollywood is rarely like the fire that lights under Disney's ass. I really don't think that's the case, but external pressure is definitely a thing. DCA 2.0 happened because of demand problem with that park. It was Disney trying to, basically it was Disney in competition with itself more than anything. And I think at Disneyland, Orlando is a completely different animal. Universal is a juggernaut over there. Out here, though, I think it's more Disney kind of competing with itself more than anything. And actually, there was somebody. This is long. I'm totally going to age myself here, but Mouse Info. We love Mouse Info, but they used to have forums over there on Mouse Info, like chat forums, right?
Yes.
And message boards, and there was an insider that would post there regularly named Marcy. That was like the I don't know what you want to call it, the moniker they went by. I don't know if it was even a female, who knows, but she would scoop a lot of stuff, and she was right a lot of times. I think she worked within the company, right? And she said back then, this was like in 2004, maybe 2005. So this is a long time ago, but she said back then that Disney internally in Anaheim considers Vegas their direct competition, not Universal. I've
heard that. I've heard that. I've also heard that for Walt Disney World as well. Not just Disneyland, but Walt Disney World.
Really? That's interesting. That's interesting.
I think that paradigm has kind of shifted now because Vegas is kind of getting out of the family game. I don't know if you really, I don't know if you've seen that, but I mean, honestly, when you have these kind of adults that want to go out to an entertainment venue, I've heard Vegas is also one, not just for Disneyland, but for Walt Disney World, and that is absolutely the case. I mean, if you're going to have people come out to the desert, where are they going to go? Sometimes they'll go to Disney. Sometimes they'll go to they'll go to Vegas. Look, it's tough because you brought up the load balance thing, I'm sorry, the competition with itself. Yeah. And what I was thinking was load balancing, right? And Josh DeMuro was like, oh, we can load balance the parks via the reservation system and all that. Real load balancing, though, is building attractions that people want to see and people want to go to, and that draws demand for those parks. And I think in the form of
like an Avengers e-ticket.
Yeah, like an Avengers e-ticket, right? Exactly, right. So that's how you really do it. And but that kind of load balancing, I think, would happen with the resorts as well. I mean, Grand California, it's a standout, and the demand has only gone up for that resort. But man, I mean, there's so much viability, I think, for a new resort hotel, and especially built in the modern era. Hey, look, if Vegas is really your competition, some of those resort hotels look absolutely insane. Like,
Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, they're fucking gorgeous.
I mean, they just take a shotgun to a lot of what Disney has over here in Anaheim. I mean, guys, come on. If that's really your competition, let's go.
Well, yeah,
viability is there.
100%. And I know one surefire way to get Ethan over to Vegas. Blackpink concert.
Oh, yes, I'll be there.
Rose.
There you go, man. There you go.
If there's a Blackpink concert in the Pixar Pier Hotel, I'll stay at it. I'll take a night there and stay in the shabby hotel to see them.
Duplicating Las Vegas, what is it? Shows and attractions. Very good.
you know. But here's the thing before we close it out.
Sure.
This is why I've been a big advocate, like you talked about, Dre, about how, like, you know, let's say, like, if Six Flags goes out of business because they got a stupid CEO right now, right? That's why I'm a huge advocate for Universal making moves on that land, because I don't think they'll ever be taken, like, super seriously here in Southern California in Disney's eyes internally until they really get like a real presence. If they were to build an island adventure or an epic universe in Valencia, Disney would shit their pants. I mean, it would really change the game out here in Southern California. I really do believe Comcast, Brian Roberts, if you watch the show, man, I'm telling you, dude, make moves on that, because any way you can, buy some land somewhere out here in California, big land, build a traditional Universal resort. I'm telling you, Disney would sit up and take notice for sure. For sure.
Well, there are, there are external issues that might impact the viability of that. But look, listen, if it works out in Orlando, it has the potential of working out here if done well.
Right.
And especially if there's a strong retail and hotel component to whatever they build out here. It could get Disney to like I was going to say before, get off their rear ends and actually build something out here in Anaheim. I do strongly believe that, OG, and I think that would definitely, if we're all looking for that effect, that would definitely be the cause.
100%. Ethan, I'll give you the last word, sir.
They have got to do it. They have got to do it, because I want my Avengers E-ticket. Whatever gets that Avengers E-ticket going, I want it. But yeah, Universal should pick, even if they took something like if they built a whole thing in Palmdale, sounds crazy, that's far, but like a whole thing, a whole bunch of indoor queues, a whole bunch of hotels, it could work. It could work. People would just go up to Palmdale, stay for a weekend, and then leave. Even locals would do that. A lot of locals stay at the Disneyland Hotel. I know locals will stay at Universal's cheaper hotels, usually cheaper hotels, and Palmdale, if they have a whole resort to go to for just the weekend, that would really be a massive boost.
Well, and it sounds people at face value go, oh, Palmdale, who's going to go to Palmdale? But really, Anaheim was nothing. Was absolutely nothing before Walt Disney built Disneyland. I mean, it was absolutely nothing. And so you build something in Palmdale, oh, believe me, it will become a tourist destination. You build Epic Universe out there, oh, God. Dude.
I mean, look, even Vegas, right? Vegas is just a desert, a train stop on a desert, and now look. It's a worldwide tourist destination, right in the middle of a desert. Palmdale's in the middle of a desert. Anything could happen.
100%. 100%.
Especially if you put a Cafe Lou over there.
Yes. Yes. Do it.
That's it. Do it. I gotta get that drop. Actually, I'm coming up with ideas for drops. That'll be.
Oh, you gotta get the Palpatine.
Gotta get the Palpatine. Do it.
Yes, we got to get the Palpatine. I do have a Palpatine, but I don't have Do It.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
Fantastic. I love it.
But gentlemen, I want to thank you both for coming on today. Fantastic conversation. We dipped into a little something different here on OG55. Our boy Ethan always does Universal content. It's not so common here on this channel, but it's fun to dip into that whole universe every now and then and do something different. Ethan, it was an absolute blast having you on today, brother. If you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, YouTube, and plug your merch store, man, and show them your shirt, dude.
I'm on Theme Park Wizard on YouTube, theme_park_wizard on Instagram, Facebook Theme Park Wizard, and oh yes, Theme Park Wizard, theme.park.wizard. Wait, themeparkwizard.shop. That's my store. You can get this lovely pumpkin shirt and 4 other cool designs to go to Horror Nights Oogie Boogie Bash, not Scary Farm with, and just scare the crap out of people.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
And there's no doubt our attractions will drive kids out of their minds.
There you go.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right, Dre, host of the Freshly Squeezed Show here on OG55, Dr. Dre. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Hey, the best place to find me is going to be at BashCuts right down there at Twitter. Go ahead and type that into the Bird app there. It should pop up. Give me a follow, you know. Hey, look, listen, I've been anywhere between 850 to 950 for, gosh, it's got to be 6-7 years. Yes. I'd love to get over 1,000. So, listen, here at OG55, we work hard for you. If you could, please.
You know what, Dre?
Give me a follow. That'd be amazing.
You know what we should do? We should hold some sort of special, like you're like around 800 something, right? Followers on Twitter.
Oh, I think I'm 963, something like that. Let me just
we're
check
close.
Here. 965.
Ooh.
Okay, we'll kind of brainstorm together.
Sure.
But like, I think we should do it if you hit 1,000 followers on Twitter.
Okay.
Like within the next, I don't know, we'll make it some sort of deadline, right? In 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll do like a giveaway or something.
Free
fun,
Disney tickets. Woo!
Something, right? Yeah, right.
Something
really fun. So we'll brainstorm, and we'll get back to the audience on
particulars.
Yes, all the details, particulars, all that good stuff. But if we can get this man to 1,000, I think we'll do like a giveaway or something really cool on the channel. I think it'd be a cool little promotional thing, and
that would be a really cool thing. Yeah. Well, hey, OG, I really do appreciate it, buddy. Like I said, I don't pitch it that hard, but man, I just hate staring at that number so close to 1,000, and yet I haven't gone over. So I think it would be really cool, and that would be a really cool promotional kind of thing, not just for my Twitter, but for the channel as well, and for our viewers. I think that'll be just phenomenal. So I do appreciate you with the shout out there. But anyway, you can go ahead and do that if you would like, and if you want to see me, well, you can go ahead and do so at OG55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info squeezed fresh right from the Grove.
Really spectacular, spared no expense.
There you go.
Orchard fresh and delicious.
I love it.
Perfect. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and thank you all for watching. If you can comment down below with all your thoughts on Epic Universe, the competition factor, what it means for Disneyland Resort. Comment down below, what is your favorite land coming to Epic Universe, and why is it the Monsters Land? And just everything we talked about today, comment down below. We love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for all the support. We really do appreciate it. Mr. Wizard, you'll definitely be back. We'll talk more shop.
Yeah, buddy.
Love you, man. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Oh, and gals. Sorry, and gals.